But Oprah's obviously a saintly, godlike figure who's revered by all decent people. Why would she exclude you?
I really don't know.
Throw millions of dollars in my face to do something I didn't want to do. And what?
Oprah said that if Trump wins, you may never be able to vote again. That is
it's just so
the
ridiculous.
craziest thing when you go back and watch him on her show, where she was encouraging him to be president. You ever see that?
Oprah coming next. Once I establish this as a place of truth.
Oprah Winfrey, a name that once screamed power, truth, and pure inspiration. But now, that same name's got comedians, actors, and authors all lining up to call her out, and they're not holding back one bit. For decades, Oprah ruled the media world like a queen on her throne, the woman who could make or break your whole career with just one interview. But lately, that crown seems to be tilting, because more and more big voices are saying, wait a minute, maybe Oprah ain't as perfect as she pretends to be. And these aren't just random haters talking. We're talking legends: Cat Williams, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Whoopi Goldberg, Kevin Hart, and even author James Frey, the guy who once embarrassed Oprah right on her own show. These names used to praise her. Now they're laughing at her, spilling secrets that have been whispered around Hollywood for years. And you know who's been the loudest? Cat Williams. When Cat talks, the whole internet tunes in.
Oprah coming next. Once I establish this as a place of truth. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Watch. God's people ain't that few.
Lately, he's been blasting Oprah like never before. In interviews, on stage, and even during his stand-up sets. Cat's calling her out heavy, accusing her of being part of that powerful Hollywood machine. Cat didn't hold back. He said Oprah's part of that system that controls, manipulates, and silences black talent. He flat out called it out, saying, Oprah ain't no saint. According to him, she played the Hollywood game like everyone else. She just hides behind that charm and smile and mountain of money.
Very first time we started our friendship, stayed up that first night and talked all night long. She has always been happier for me and everything that's ever happened to me.
He even accused her of using her influence to push certain agendas, calling her the gatekeeper of who gets in and who gets left out. That hit fans hard because Oprah's whole image has always been about the opposite. The woman who uplifts, who listens, who helps people rise. But Cat, he says that's all a show. He once joked, Oprah don't invite you to her show unless you already on her side.
You're not supposed to do this in my business. I'm up here doing something that nobody else in this business has the balls to do. I'm telling you something that you need to know.
Meaning she's not there to uplift your story. She's there to own it. Now, some folks think Cat's just being Cat, wild, loud, and maybe a little paranoid. But when other comedians start echoing those same words, you gotta stop and think. Maybe there's something real behind it, especially when a legend like Dave Chappelle starts getting dragged into the mix.
Yeah. Would you say you lost your mind, sort of?
No.
Back in 2006, Dave Chappelle shocked the world when he walked away from that massive $50 million Chappelle's Show deal. The media lost its mind, calling him unstable and out of control. That's when Oprah stepped in and inviting him onto her show to clear the air. But that interview, that's when things got real strange.
I'm glad you're here. Everybody wants to know, why'd you walk away from $50 million?
I wasn't walking away from the money. I was walking away from the circumstances with the newfound plateau.
Yeah.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14. I've heard the stories, seen these kinds of things play out in front of me. I mean, you see it before. Look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, they're trying to kill me.
On the surface, it looked warm and friendly. But if you really watch it, Oprah's tone felt sharp, condescending even. It was like she wasn't trying to understand Dave at all, just trying to fix him right there on national TV. Fans said it looked like Dave was being cornered, like she was more focused on making him look broken than hearing his truth. And years later, people started connecting the dots, saying that moment was when Dave finally saw Oprah for what she really was, part of the same Hollywood machine he was running from. Dave never attacked her head on. That's not his style. But he dropped hints. He warned, Hollywood will break you if you don't play their game. And when he said their game, fans already knew who he was talking about. Now let's move over to Whoopi Goldberg, because Oprah and Whoopi's history, it runs deep and it's messy. Back in the late 80s, they worked side by side on The Color Purple, the film that helped skyrocket both their careers. But behind those smiles on set, the vibe wasn't so friendly. For years, whispers floated around that Whoopi and Oprah had beef, that Whoopi didn't like how Oprah tried to control the story around the movie or how she positioned herself as the soul of it all. At one point, people even claimed Oprah stopped inviting Whoopi to her own events, even when they were in the same city. Decades later, Oprah tried to play it cool, saying, "We're fine, we've always been fine." But the energy in their interviews told a different story. Whoopi's not one to fake a smile. She keeps it real. And if you watch her on The View, she's dropped slick comments about Hollywood's double standards and about certain folks who claim to be for the culture, but really only help themselves. And every time she says something like that, fans online point the finger straight back at Oprah. Then there's Chris Rock. Now, Chris doesn't waste time with drama. He hits with truth bombs. And when he calls someone out, he does it with that smooth, fearless confidence only he's got. In his stand-up sets and interviews, Chris has hinted that Oprah represents that side of Hollywood that makes you behave if you want to make it big. He said things like, "Some folks make it in this business because they're talented. Some folks make it because they're obedient." And that line, it hit like a bullet through the room, because when people talk about the obedient side of Hollywood.
Your daughters came to you and said, "Look, this guy is doing to me what the allegations are against you."
Then I would have to arrest myself after I did what I had to do.
Oprah's name always ends up floating to the top as the model citizen who keeps the machine running. Oprah's always been painted as the one who plays by every rule, the perfect example of Hollywood success, the one who never dares to challenge the same system that made her rich and powerful. And get this, Chris Rock once turned down a tell-all interview with her. He straight up said, "Nah, I don't need to be saved on TV." That was his polite way of saying, "I'm not letting Oprah turn my pain into her ratings." Now, let's slide over to Kevin Hart. Kevin's probably the most careful name on this list, but even he couldn't dodge the conversation. He's talked before about how Hollywood works behind the scenes, how certain people quietly decide who gets a seat at the table and who doesn't. And while Kevin's never called Oprah out directly, he's made it clear he doesn't buy into that fake Hollywood family image she loves to promote. Remember when Monique went head-to-head with Oprah and Tyler Perry? Kevin tried to keep it peaceful, but fans caught the vibe. Every word he said was measured. He told reporters, "I wish everybody peace, but the business is what it is." Translation: I'm not saying it out loud, but you already know the deal. Because crossing Oprah can make your Hollywood phone go dead overnight. Kevin's too smart to poke that bear, but his silence, it speaks volumes. And then there's James Frey, the one man who managed to make Oprah look human, and maybe even a little cruel, right on her own stage. You remember that story, right? James Frey, the guy who wrote A Million Little Pieces, a raw memoir about addiction and recovery. The book blew up and even became one of Oprah's famous book club picks, pure gold for any author. But when the smoking gun exposed parts of his story as fake, Oprah flipped. Instead of handling it quietly, she dragged James back onto her show and publicly humiliated him in front of millions. Right there on live TV, she scolded him, grilled him, and called him out for lying, while he sat red-faced, looking completely shattered. For years, people praised Oprah for defending the truth. But as time went on, that moment started to feel less like justice and more like revenge. Years later, James said something that stuck. She didn't want an apology, she wanted a spectacle. That line hit deep, because that's exactly what critics like Cat Williams and Dave Chappelle have been saying for years, that Oprah doesn't chase truth, she chases control. And that's the thread tying all these stories together. Whether it's Cat Williams exposing Hollywood's hypocrisy, Chappelle walking away from the system, Whoopi keeping her distance, Chris refusing to play the game, Kevin staying cautious, or James Frey still healing from that public burn, they all lead back to one truth. Oprah's power might be built on something darker than anyone ever wanted to admit. Let's be honest, for years her image was untouchable. She was the woman who gave away cars, built schools in Africa, and turned pain into primetime gold. She became the world's moral compass, the woman who told millions what to read, what to believe, what to feel. But somewhere along the line, people started asking, how much of that was real and how much was just brand management? Because every time someone crossed her, their career somehow dimmed. Look at Monique, look at Laverne, even Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz. Both of them started under Oprah's wing, and the second they stepped too far off script, she cut them loose quick. That's exactly why so many comedians are speaking up now. They're tired of being shaped by her narrative. They're using laughter to spill the kind of truth TV won't touch. When Cat Williams says they play with your image and then sell it back to you, he's not just talking about Hollywood. He's talking about Oprah's empire. And when Dave Chappelle says, sometimes you gotta walk away from money to keep your soul, he's speaking about that same quiet pressure, the price you pay when you don't play by her rules. Oprah represents that system, the one everyone's been quietly side-eyeing for years. When Whoopi throws those sharp looks on The View, or when Chris Rock turns down the big interviews, they're all sending the same message loud and clear: you can't control the culture forever. And now, the internet's finally catching up. Old clips of Oprah's interviews are resurfacing. Moments where she pressured guests, made wild assumptions, or turned people's trauma into TV ratings. People are rewatching those clips and saying, hold up, how did we miss this before? Because back then, Oprah's word was law. But now, folks question everything. The new generation doesn't see her as untouchable anymore. They see her as part of the same machine that shuts down uncomfortable truths. And maybe that's why this 27-minute viral compilation of comedians calling her out hit so hard, because it wasn't just jokes. It was a mirror showing that even the most powerful woman in media can't hide behind her image forever. Every smile, every sermon, every heartfelt interview, they all look different now, like maybe that kindness came with strings attached. So what does this mean for Oprah's legacy? Well, legends don't crumble overnight. She's still got her billions, her network, her loyal followers, but the cracks are showing. People are starting to remember not just what she gave, but what she took, the guests she humiliated, the friends she dropped, the careers she quietly overshadowed, and the comedians, the truth tellers in disguise. They're the ones standing tall now, holding her accountable. Cat Williams once said, comedy is truth wrapped in pain, and maybe that's exactly what this whole story is. The painful truth behind a woman the world once saw as flawless. Because no matter how powerful someone gets, there's always a price to pay. And for Oprah, that price might just be her reputation. So what do you think? Are these comedians just bitter, or are they finally saying what everyone's been too scared to say out loud for years? One thing's for sure. The days of Oprah being untouchable are over. The laughter has shifted into truth-telling, and that truth, it's got her name written all over it. This is Buzzed In, where fame meets reality and legends meet receipts. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts below, because we've got plenty more stories Hollywood would rather keep buried. See you on the next one.